began to set in, and then they put the graphic up, 21-1, and you heard everybody, oh my God. And I'm just sitting there laughing. And everyone has this shocked expression on their face. It's one of those things where whatever you think of the finish, whether it should have happened or shouldn't have happened, I don't know that we'll ever have another moment like that again. Honestly, it's one of those rare moments where there is this literal shock that just washes over the crowd. It takes a lot to shock people these days, and people were genuinely stunned. Shawn Michaels, the story was so great when they came back with it in 26 because he almost, that story hasn't worked. Shawn had Taker wins this, said we won, and he called it Shawn's last match, and they wanted JR, and they were like, they had a hard on for JR, I don't know. My theory was that Vince was always just jealous, because he thought he was a genuinely great announcer, and I'm actually a fan of Vince McMahon, the announcer, but he's no Jim Ross. Jim Ross was always the one to give him praise, one of the great, announcers of all time, all that. And I think it's just Southern announcer, you look at him, and Vince talks over just make fun of his appearance all the time, and he probably just didn't get it. And I think there was sometimes. That's why he brings us so much over the years. One of those situations that Jim Ross got Vince McMahon was self-respect his own way. He shot a voice of our generation. Definitely forget that. Suggesting great combos. We'll definitely talk about WrestleMania. We got a lot to get into, guys. Monday Night Raw 1.
Target sighted.
Power bombing CM Punk to be unstable. We got Randy Orton destroying that Icona. There's one of Cody's friends. It's not always going on. On and Rhea.
Anything else you want to get in at the end of the show, so we really appreciate it. It's the best way to support it. Hit that thumbs up, 1,000 likes is the goal. We've been doing incredible on Tuesday nights. We are on a nice string of momentum every single Tuesday, I think, for the last, I haven't even been keeping count, but it's been weeks now, 40,000 plus views. So you guys have fucking killed it. So keep that up. We love it. This is, and I say without any hesitation, best two-man show in the entire space. And please make sure you also comment, helps us out. Definitely in this, and I let you guys can comment in the live stream chat. Jason and I will be in Las Vegas, barring any unforeseen circumstances with what's going on nowadays. We just announced this mega match, and I'm very excited to call this one with Jason. The former Dakota Kai Charlie will be challenging Shotzi for the House of Glory Women's Championship. And that is one of many big matches, Jason, that we got lined up. We got a couple of big ones also announced as well. What's going on there?
Yeah, well, we're going to have the HRT Tag Team Champions, Matt and Jeff Hardy. We've not announced the match yet. They will be on the card. They will be in Las Vegas. But we have Civil Fatu, and it's going to be going one-on-one with the big bad Brody King. He's coming into House of Glory. Been trying to get him in for a while. So that's going to be a great one. But also, Amazing Red and Bandito. I know you were very excited to get Thursday night, it's a Thursday before WrestleMania 16. Chat now, to let you know what the wrestling fans are sitting up on Las Vegas about
Alright, my friend, we got a lot to get into. What do you want to talk about?
I'm going to start with a small item. I don't know if you've heard about this, but American Gladiators is coming back. I did hear
That's not in my notes, but I did peep what Miz tweeted.
Well, yes, Miz tweeted. I did talk about this on the Sound Off on Sunday, but American Gladiators is coming back. It is actually debuting on Amazon Prime Video. And so the way it is going to work is first 3 episodes are actually dropping the Friday before WrestleMania, so the day after the Hog Show. 3 more episodes debut the week after, and then they close the season on May 1st with the final 4 episodes. And as you mentioned, Miz is hosting, or I think he's one of the hosts. This is something that was filmed quite some time ago. There's a bunch of wrestlers that play gladiators on the show. From the list I have here, I think we knew about Wardlow. Remember him?
I do. I missed the big man, actually.
Well, evidently he was backstage at the AEW show last week visiting. but no word on his return. But Wardlow is one of the gladiators. Camille, you've never heard? Yeah, I know. I had forgotten myself, but she's one of the gladiators. Right, sending to Boots is one of the gladiators. Jesse Connors, wrestling. And then you have one man and one woman, and they claim $100,000 prize, and the title of American Gladiators. So yes, I'm looking forward to it. I was an American Gladiators kid growing up. I watched Superstars on Saturdays at 1 o'clock on American Gladiators. I love playing the song. It's hard. Man, I love that Jesse song. These guys are so, in 2008, 2009, so we'll see how this version goes, but I'm definitely going to be seated and watching. I might actually have you some on that on the flight. Not bad idea. Yeah, at least that'll be my hours. Well, I think the first, let's see here, the first episode dropped April 17th. It's going to be, well, I don't know, maybe Comic-Con and AEW will be, I guess, hyping this up on Dynamite. Being that Wardlow's coming up. We get some mentions on Dynamite about our guys that are gladiators. No, I don't think so. Because Camille's on there. And we can't mention her. We cannot. That's very, which is very weird. You know, she's unmentionable. She's not movie. You would never know. But also, I don't know what their plans are for Wardlow's return. I don't think they probably want to talk about him or mention his name on TV until he's ready to come back and then make it a surprise. Well, like Jason said, he was backstage at the Dynamite tapings, but the one thing that I took away from the report is that there are no imminent plans for return, so he may still be rehabilitating and he was just there visiting friends, so. Well, let's see what his name is, because they used to have the cool names too, right? They had Turbo, they had Nitro. I think Nitro was one. I think Wardlow sounds like a good American Gladiator. Yeah, you know what? But not Camille. Camille needs it. Yeah, that's coming. I'm excited about that. That is definitely in the news. But as far as where you want to go is what we've seen on television this week. Dynamite, Raw. We got SmackDown. Where do you want to start? Well, let's start from the beginning. For now. We'll start with Dynamite, which was the post-revolution show. At Dynamite, we had a show on Wednesday night, and I was enthused about what we saw on Wednesday. Not because I'm enthused about AEW. I've actually said on my platform that AEW has been putting on better television than WWE for the last several weeks. And if you believe some of the reports that the Observer put out, there are people that are actually in the WWE that also believe that AEW is putting out a better product right now than WWE. Obviously, that's what we've talked to. And it is coming from Meltzer, so we don't really know what is true and what is not over there. Wednesday show, I think, general consensus in the community, I am not the only completer here. I thought it was a close down show, and they just
don't know Jason how to follow a pay-per-view now.
Check back in every meow and again.
Hard and very heavy, and there are a lot of injuries and a lot of questionable, is this one going to make Dynamite or is that one going to make Dynamite? There's a lot that goes into those shows. So Tony, I'm assuming no matter what he wants to have happen on Dynamite, he's probably got to shuffle some things around, and he's not going to be able to use some of the people that he wants to use on Wednesday. Regardless, we got a coffin match that resulted in a car crash outside the venue with Darby Allin and Gabe Kidd. We got suffocation in that same match. We got a straitjacket in that same match. We got Will Ospreay making his return to the ring against Vanilla Baby. And we had Edge, Christian, or Copeland and Christian, FTR and the Young Bucks in the main event segment, tie 1,000 tents in front of that Fresno crowd, and nobody could be bothered to give a single shit in that entire segment. Plus, Rocky Romero was in the main event with the Don Callis family. And at that point, I just wanted to pull every strand of hair out that I have remaining in my head. So I don't know how you felt about it, but I thought it was a terrible show.
Yeah, I mean, it was the biggest and worst Dynamite of the year so far. And again, it's been with a lot of these post-pay-per-view shows because they go so hard on the shows that they just don't have all their big guns available. Like, and look, we had MJF, and he wasn't there live, and yet his set was probably the best thing on the entire show. I thought that promo that he cut post-Revolution was fucking great, but he wasn't there live. And after what he and Hangman did to each other in the pay-per-view, you can kind of understand why. I mean, he didn't have a champion. Kenny Omega cut a pre-tape promo. He wasn't there.
Sounds like a good place to set up camp.
Apparently he's going to be gone for a while. Evident's getting Fightful said he's going to be taking time off. So we don't know when we're going to see him again. So that hurts. When you work with some of your big guns like that, that hurts. Just these matches that were there, like you mentioned, Rocky Romero and Trent Beretta are in the main event, and then feels match. How was that the main event on this show?
There! That's our target!
Mark Davis is sort of like a guilty pleasure for me watching these shows. I think something that just went forward. It's in a war. It's for us to see this stuff. I mean, so much. And it just felt like my numbers felt. I just think like that's of being event like Revolution. Watch recently that there's and then just go back to the boss. This is his first match back in about 5 or 6 months. That's the reason why they didn't do And the other thing about that show was these AEW crowds, they're always very loud. They're always very lively, and it helps when they're smaller venues like that. This is always a WWE crowd. And you're out there, you're working, they're killing each other, and these people just felt very indifferent towards it. So that just made things worse. And then, you know,
Gives on to Buffet as a way to take out Darby, keep Darby suppressed from getting any further to the World Championship. So we may be going Darby, Andrade, pay-per-view at Dynasty, and MJF. It's still uncertain what his next match will be because getting rematch on Wednesday's Dynamite tomorrow. With Swerve and Kenny Omega. Now, the difference in this second match is, Jason, there is rather something to it on longer. If Kenny wins, he's the number one contender. But if Swerve wins, he's the number one contender. Well, he gets Kenny Omega's executive vice president power. Now, Jesse and I talked about this on our show on Wednesday, and Jesse brought up an excellent point. I don't think people are really thinking of what type of power does Kenny Omega have as an EVP that Swerve wants so bad. What has Kenny done with his EVP status, with his EVP power? Swerve wants it now because we've been here 6 years, and Kenny really hasn't come out and asserted his power as an EVP, hasn't used his power for anything nefarious or anything good in 6 years. What do you think about that being on the line here for Kenny in this match with Swerve? Does it make sense to you?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mentioned this on my end. The issue is it's just very sort of vague what that means. Does he have the power to make matches? Does he have the power to hire and fire people?
I was
Does
asked
he
to
get a
meet with
special
you,
parking
Hunter.
space outside of each
Is
show?
there anything you need?
Does he get bonus pay? does he get health benefits and 401k, which he should get if he's going to be an employee? Like, they haven't really, illustrated what the power is that he's seeking. So I think they've left it intentionally vague. The answer is we don't know. Just because Kenny hasn't used it doesn't mean that as an AVP he doesn't have power. The Young Bucks, they got drunk with power, and we saw, what they were doing. Kenny's a good guy. He hasn't been a heel in a while. So
I can help you source materials.
He has the power, but he doesn't use it. Swerve would use it. For what? Well, we don't know. I'm just glad that they actually had something on the line here, because the idea that Kenny Omega would cut a promo and would say, you are the number one contender for the AEW World title, which, by the way, kind of came out of nowhere. I guess by beating Brody King, that made him contenders. Although he did beat Omega previously. But he goes, I want a rematch with you, and I want you to put the number one contendership on the line. And I'm watching this, and I'm like, okay, well, I want a fucking pony, but that doesn't mean I'm going to get one. Like, why would he think that's Swerve? Why would Swerve be dumb enough to be like, okay, sure, I'll put my number one contendership on the line. So naturally, he wants something on the line in return. And what does Kenny have to give him? Right? Kenny has this executive vice president power. It makes sense in that regard.
So let's be on our way.
Well, we just don't know what that means. They haven't told us what that means in the match is tomorrow. So there's not going to be any sort of big, promo showdown this week where they tell us. We don't know. We just have to wait and see. And Swerve means, I guess at that point we'll find out. I guess if I'm Swerve, I'm going to fire every single person that is in line for a shot at the championship. Or at least indefinitely suspend them. So that way I just wipe the entire team clean. I go and I get my match with MJF. I beat MJF. I win the world title. And I don't have to worry about any of this other competition. Can he do that?
Well, I was going to say, why don't we cancel the Alpha entry and make himself the number one contender, put himself in the main event? That's what
Sure. Or just rename it and call it the Swerve. He can do anything he wants. He's the
Enter in combat. Target down. Aim fully locked.
I trust that you will.
Wonderful work! Let's see this shot! Go all in.
tonight isn't what it is. So it feels like he's got to do something. He's going to bring the hand. You know, that's a big game. They got a lot of talent in that division. It's not like, oh my God, what are they going to do without Tony Storm? But to lose one big name, you really want to get back another. And so for coming back around this time, it feels like the right time.
I agree on that aspect. And the thing that I have a problem with is, and I love Megan Bayne. I think Tekla's great. I think Stat is great, even though she's kind of feeling a little bit kind of inconsequential here, insignificant. Willow's great. But in my opinion, and some of you may agree or disagree, Jason, same thing, I don't think that AEW has done a good job of building up for the next Tony Storm or Mercedes Moné's would be. Others that looks like they're available and that would be built and been given the opportunity. But Tony Storm, in my opinion, and Mercedes is one of the greatest female professional wrestlers of all time, maybe the best. But Tony Storm is enthusiasts out there that were just pleased by her appearance on Revolution Sunday. You are clear from to be some sort of, but maybe it was just a one thought. I think it was one.
Plan for anything. I think they just, I think she, it's a combination of things. I think that she lives out in the U.S. right now. It's easy to get ready. And right now she's getting ready for this fight that originally she had pitched the UFC, and they seemed to be receptive to it at one point. Wasn't receptive to it. And she's got a little bit of a vendetta against them, and she's looking at needle them. And so by showing up on AEW as opposed to WWE, that was one way for her to sort of stick it to them. I don't think there's any sort of contract. I don't think there was ever any plan for an actual match between the two of them. I think it doesn't mean there can't be one down the road. Obviously now it wouldn't happen anyway if Tony's going to be out for a long time. But you know, I think it was one of those like, oh sure, if Ronda wants to show up, I'd love to have Ronda show up. And it got attention. It got attention until another story knocked it out of the news, which I'm sure we'll talk about the Twitter story. But it got publicity for Tony Khan.
It did. I'm glad that she's not coming in. I appreciate what she's done. Honestly, I've said it from day one. Without Ronda Rousey, the women's revolution in WWE, that pay-per-view, the first ever Evolution show, does not happen. So. She's owed a lot.
Well, they don't get the main event of wrestling.
No, I was about to say that too. Yeah, they don't get that either. So,
and Charlotte Flair herself has said that.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. So yes, Ronda is a very pivotal figure in the state of women's wrestling for sure in this current generation. But for her to be on TV in 2026, especially with AEW, that's something I want to see. And what Jason said about a vendetta being against TKO, that's exactly what Mel just said. Her appearance at Revolution is part of a vendetta against TKO for compensation disputes involving her in a fight with Gina Carano, and that was coming from Dave Meltzer in the wrestling. So I believe it. Ronda seems like a very any woman if she wants to be.
She's no fan of not just TKO, WWE and something that will work there. I don't think she has an issue with Paul Beck, but she has said things about, for example, Bruce Pritchard and some of the other older folks and older cats in that room over there. She's no fan of that. Remember, she called Bruce Vince's avatar.
Perfection.
And among other comments that she's made, so
it's the greatest thing she's ever said.
Oh, look, I mean, there's a lot that Ronda said that I think is stupid and I disagree with, but when it comes to some of the shit that she said about WWE and the people who work there, there was a lot of truth in some of what she said.
Yeah, so we will keep an eye on that, but as far as the mystery assailant, a lot of people were like, well, it's Ronda, someone linked to Marina. What do you think?
Look good.
It may be way too early.
Alrighty,
What do
perfection.
you think is the mystery assailant right now? Do you have someone in?
My first thought was Mina.
I can see.
My first thought was
Look
Mina.
good.
Mina's a great, bubbly baby face.
Perfect.
But if Tony's not going to be back for a while, I don't know when or if they're even going to do a reveal for this. They can do a reveal soon, you know, and not have to wait until Tony comes back.
Pitch it to a T.
I don't think we're going to find out who it is for a while. I'm not sure they know a while. I'm not sure they know who it is. But I suspect that Mina would probably be someone to look at. She's going to be, look, she benefited on Wednesday.
Right.
She got Tony's spot, and she fucking won, dude.
Yeah.
She actually won a match. She did. That was incredible. And then she rode that momentum on into HOG on Saturday. She got a win on Saturday as well. So she's rolling right now.
And big shots thanks to Indy Hartwell.
Indy Hartwell.
Well, keep an eye on Mina. I don't know if I can see him on Mina, but change is always good. We'll see what happens there. As far as other AEW news and notes here on Dynamite, not much else happened in the main event outside of Coleman and Christian coming back, and they were out there and announced that at the pay-per-view in a couple of weeks, Dynasty. It will be then an FTR for the AEW Tag Team Championships, and this is taking place in Vancouver. Now, you mentioned last week that you thought that this is a rare opportunity if Tony Khan wanted to do it for this match, the main event. Honestly, I think that is a real possibility here, depending on who MJF defends the title against. I'm hoping Andrade. I think that would be one of the open opportunity for MJF, maybe start the show in the co-main event spot. Do you see this tag team title match now that it's officially announced, main eventing Dynasty?
I'm undecided. A lot of it depends on who I think the show are. Because if we
I'll be
have a
waiting
clear-cut winner in Swerve and Kenny, why would that person not get the shot at Dynasty? Okay, makes sense. If MJF is going to defend the championship on that show, we already know who the number one contender is in Swerve Stripping. So it's either going to be him or it's going to be Kenny. So I think that's going to be the title match on that show. If they do that match, then I think that match main events.
You think Kenny gets a main event spot? I can't see Swerve and MJF heel versus heel in the title. I know it doesn't really matter. AEW, they do this sometimes, right? It's like,
But Kenny, there was open Christian in Canada going after those titles. To do Kenny going after the world title in Canada, I can see that being a